It was a cold, rainy night. The streets were empty, and the only sound was the pounding of the rain against the pavement. In a small, quiet neighborhood, a faint whimper broke the silence. A thin, trembling, stray dog dragged itself through the puddles, its fur matted and dirty. Its eyes were half closed, and its breathing was shallow. The dog had been wandering for days, hungry, tired, and in pain. It didn't know where it was going, but its instincts told it to keep moving. The dog's paws were bleeding, and its body was weak. It had given up hope of finding food or shelter. But then it saw a faint light in the distance. A small house at the end of the street had its porch light on. The dog didn't know why, but something inside it pushed it to crawl toward that light. It was as if the light was calling to it, offering a tiny glimmer of hope. The journey felt endless, but the dog kept going, one painful step at a time. Inside the house, a young woman named Mia was preparing for bed. She had just finished her nightly routine and was about to turn off the lights when she heard a faint scratching sound at her front door. At first, she thought it was the wind or a tree branch, but the sound didn't stop. It was soft but persistent, like something or someone was trying to get her attention. Her heart raced as she hesitated, wondering if she should open the door. Mia grabbed a flashlight and slowly opened the door, peeking outside. What she saw made her gasp. There on her doorstep lay a frail, shivering dog. Its eyes met hers, filled with pain and desperation. Mia's heart broke at the sight. She had always loved animals, but she had never seen one in such a terrible condition. Without thinking twice, she knelt down and gently reached out to the dog, whispering, "It's okay, I'm here now." The dog flinched at first, too weak to trust anyone, but something in Mia's voice calmed it. It let out a soft whimper, as if to say, "Please help me." Mia knew she couldn't leave the dog outside in the cold. She carefully wrapped it in a blanket and brought it inside. The dog was so weak it could barely move, but it nuzzled against her hand, as if thanking her for the kindness she had shown. Mia's mind raced as she tried to figure out what to do next. She knew the dog needed immediate help, but it was late, and most veterinary clinics were closed. She decided to make the dog as comfortable as possible for the night. She laid out a soft blanket, gave it some water, and sat beside it, gently stroking its head. As she looked into the dog's eyes, she felt a deep connection. This wasn't just any stray dog. It was a soul in need, and she was determined to save it. A night of hope and fear. Mia stayed up all night, watching over the dog. She named it Lucky, hoping the name would bring it some good fortune. Lucky was too weak to eat, but Mia managed to get a few drops of water into its mouth using a small spoon. She could feel its heartbeat, faint but steady, as it lay on the blanket. Every now and then, Lucky would open its eyes and look at her, as if to make sure she was still there. Mia whispered soothing words, promising it that everything would be okay. As the hours passed, Mia's worry grew. Lucky's breathing became uneven, and its body trembled uncontrollably. She knew she couldn't wait until morning to get help. She grabbed her phone and searched for emergency veterinary services. After a few calls, she found a 24-hour clinic about 30 minutes away. Without hesitation, she wrapped Lucky in the blanket again and carried it to her car. The rain had stopped, but the night was still cold and dark. The drive to the clinic felt like the longest of Mia's life. Lucky lay on the passenger seat, barely moving. Mia kept one hand on the steering wheel and the other on Lucky's head, trying to comfort it. She talked to the dog the entire time, telling it to stay strong and that they were almost there. Her voice was calm, but inside she was terrified. What if they were too late? What if Lucky didn't make it through the night? When they finally arrived at the clinic, Mia rushed inside, carrying Lucky in her arms. The staff immediately took the dog to the examination room. Mia waited outside, pacing back and forth. Her mind was filled with questions and fears. She didn't even know this dog, but somehow it had already become so important to her. She thought about how Lucky had crawled to her doorstep, trusting her to help. She couldn't let it down. After what felt like an eternity, the vet came out to speak with Mia. The news was both good and bad. Lucky was severely malnourished and had multiple injuries, likely from being hit by a car. It also had a serious infection that needed immediate treatment. The vet said Lucky's chances of survival were slim, but there was still hope. Mia didn't hesitate. She agreed to whatever treatment was necessary, even if it meant spending all her savings. As the vet returned to the examination room, Mia sat down, feeling a mix of emotions. She was exhausted, worried, but also determined. She thought about how Lucky had fought so hard to survive, crawling to her doorstep in the middle of the night. If the dog could fight, then so could she. She made a silent promise to Lucky. No matter what happened, she would be there for it. The next few days were a blur for Mia. She visited the clinic every morning and evening, spending hours by Lucky's side. The dog was hooked up to IVs and machines, its tiny body looking even smaller in the hospital bed. Mia would sit next to it, talking softly and stroking its head. She told Lucky stories about her life, her dreams, and even her fears. It was as if the dog understood every word, its eyes never leaving her face. The vet had warned Mia that the first 48 hours were critical. Lucky's body was fighting multiple battles: malnutrition, infection, and the trauma from its injuries. Every hour was a struggle, but Lucky surprised everyone. Slowly, its breathing became steadier, and its heartbeat grew stronger. The vet said it was a miracle, but Mia believed it was Lucky's will to live. The dog had fought so hard to reach her doorstep, and now it was fighting to stay alive. Mia's friends and family couldn't understand why she was so invested in a stray dog. Some even told her it was a waste of time and money, but Mia didn't care. She felt a deep connection to Lucky, as if they were meant to find each other. She started documenting their journey on social media, sharing updates and photos. To her surprise, people from all over the world began following their story. Messages of support and encouragement poured in, giving Mia the strength to keep going. One evening, as Mia sat by Lucky's side, something incredible happened. The dog, who had been too weak to move, lifted its head and licked her hand. It was a small gesture, but it meant the world to Mia. Tears streamed down her face as she realized Lucky was getting better. The vet confirmed it the next day. Lucky was out of danger. The infection was under control, and its body was starting to heal. Mia felt a wave of relief and happiness she had never experienced before. But the journey wasn't over yet. Lucky still had a long way to go before it could fully recover. The vet recommended physical therapy to help the dog regain its strength. Mia didn't hesitate. She turned her living room into a mini rehab center, complete with soft mats, toys, and a special diet plan. Every day she worked with Lucky, encouraging it to take small steps and rewarding it with gentle praise. As the days turned into weeks, Lucky's progress was remarkable. The once frail and broken dog was now walking, wagging its tail, and even playing with toys. Mia's social media followers cheered them on, calling Lucky a symbol of hope and resilience. Mia couldn't believe how much her life had changed since that rainy night. What started as a simple act of kindness had turned into a journey of love, healing, and second chances. Lucky's transformation was nothing short of miraculous. From a dying stray to a lively, loving companion, the dog had come a long way. Mia's home, once quiet and lonely, was now filled with the sound of Lucky's playful barks and the pitter-patter of its paws on the floor. The bond between them grew stronger every day. Lucky followed Mia everywhere, its eyes always filled with gratitude and love. Mia's social media posts about Lucky's recovery went viral. People were inspired by the story of a stray dog's fight for survival and the kindness of a stranger who refused to give up. Messages and donations poured in from all over the world. Some shared their own stories of rescuing animals, while others simply thanked Mia for reminding them that there was still good in the world. Mia was overwhelmed by the support, but also grateful. She decided to use the donations to start a small fund for other stray animals in need. One day, Mia received a message from a local news station. They wanted to feature Lucky's story on their morning show. At first, Mia was hesitant. She had never been on TV before, and the idea of sharing her personal life with thousands of viewers was intimidating. But then she thought about the impact their story could have. If it inspired even one person to help a stray animal, it would be worth it. She agreed to the interview. The day of the interview was nerve-wracking but exciting. Lucky, now healthy and full of energy, sat beside Mia as she shared their journey. She talked about that rainy night, the struggles of the first few days, and the joy of seeing Lucky recover. The host was moved to tears, and so were many viewers. By the end of the segment, Mia and Lucky had become local heroes. But fame wasn't what Mia cared about. What mattered most was the change she saw in herself. Before Lucky, her life had felt empty and routine. Now she had a purpose. She started volunteering at a local animal shelter, using her experience to help other stray animals. Lucky became the shelter's unofficial mascot, visiting regularly to cheer up the other dogs. Together, Mia and Lucky were making a difference, one small act of kindness at a time. As the months passed, Lucky continued to thrive. Its once dull coat was now shiny and soft, and its eyes sparkled with happiness. Mia often thought about how different their lives would have been if she hadn't opened her door that night. She had saved Lucky, but in a way, Lucky had saved her too. The dog had brought joy, love, and meaning into her life, and for that, she would always be grateful. Mia and Lucky's story didn't just touch hearts, it inspired action. After the news segment aired, more people in the community began paying attention to stray animals. The local animal shelter saw a surge in volunteers and donations. Some families even adopted dogs they had seen on Mia's social media. It was as if Lucky's journey had sparked a wave of kindness, spreading far beyond Mia's neighborhood. One day, Mia received a letter from a young girl named Emma. Emma had seen Lucky's story on TV and was inspired to help a stray cat in her own neighborhood. She wrote, "If you could save Lucky, then I can save this cat too." Mia was deeply moved by the letter. She invited Emma and her family to visit the shelter, where they adopted the cat and named it Hope. It was a full-circle moment for Mia, proof that one act of kindness could inspire another. As Mia's involvement with the shelter grew, she decided to take things a step further. She organized a community event called Pause for a Cause, where people could bring their pets, learn about animal rescue, and donate to the shelter. Lucky, of course, was the star of the event. Children lined up to pet him, and adults shared stories of their own rescued animals. The event was a huge success, raising enough money to build a new wing at the shelter. But not everything was easy. There were still challenges along the way. Some animals at the shelter were too sick or injured to save, and those losses hit Mia hard. She would come home and hold Lucky tightly, reminded of how close she had come to losing him. Those moments made her even more determined to keep fighting for animals in need. She started a campaign to educate people about the importance of spaying and neutering pets, hoping to reduce the number of strays in the long run. Lucky, meanwhile, continued to bring joy wherever he went. He had a special way of connecting with people, especially those who were struggling. Mia often brought him to visit nursing homes and hospitals, where his presence brought smiles to faces that hadn't smiled in a long time. It was as if Lucky knew he had been given a second chance, and he wanted to give that same hope to others. As the years went by, Mia and Lucky became inseparable. They were more than just owner and pet. They were a team, a symbol of resilience and love. Mia often thought about how different her life would have been if she hadn't opened her door that rainy night. She had set out to save a dog, but in the process, she had found a new purpose, a new family, and a new way of seeing the world. Years passed, but Mia and Lucky's bond only grew stronger. Lucky was no longer the frail, shivering dog that had crawled to Mia's doorstep. He was now a strong, happy, and beloved companion. His story had touched countless lives, inspiring people around the world to show kindness to animals in need. Mia often looked at him and marveled at how far they had come together. Mia's work with the shelter continued to grow. What had started as a small effort to help one dog had turned into a full-fledged mission. She became a well-known advocate for animal rescue, speaking at events in schools about the importance of compassion and responsibility. Lucky was always by her side, his tail wagging as if to say, "We're in this together." One day, Mia received an unexpected honor. The local community decided to name the new wing of the animal shelter after her and Lucky. The Mia and Lucky Rescue Center was dedicated to helping stray animals find love, care, and second chances. At the dedication ceremony, Mia stood in front of a crowd of supporters, her voice trembling with emotion. "This isn't just about me or Lucky," she said. "It's about all of us coming together to make the world a better place, one small act of kindness at a time." As the years went on, Lucky grew older. His steps became slower, and his fur began to gray, but his spirit remained as bright as ever. Mia cherished every moment with him, knowing that their time together was precious. She often thought about the night they had met, how a simple decision to open her door had changed both their lives forever. One peaceful evening, as the sun set over their backyard, Lucky lay beside Mia, his head resting on her lap. She stroked his fur gently, tears in her eyes as she whispered, "Thank you for choosing me, Lucky. You've given me more than I could ever give you." Lucky looked up at her, his eyes filled with love, as if to say, "Thank you for saving me." Lucky's journey came to an end not long after, but his legacy lived on. Mia continued her work, inspired by the love and lessons he had taught her. She often told people, "Lucky wasn't just a dog. He was my teacher, my friend, and my reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is always hope." Mia and Lucky's story shows us that even the smallest act of kindness can change lives, both for those who give and those who receive. Never underestimate the power of love and compassion. Whether it's helping a stray animal or supporting someone in need, your actions can create ripples of kindness that touch the world.